Folks, happy Javelin Day. Welcome to the Battle of Cyrene, where this replay, I've been told, is a celebration of Javelin Day between Syracuse and, is that Pergamon again? I think it is Pergamon again. Yeah, Akima Spear, so it's Pergamon and Syracuse. Oh, wow. So these two factions are kind of a joke in terms of, multiplayer power. So this ought to be interesting to see these two go head-to-head. Now, of course, if I had the option of picking between the two for multiplayer, I would pick the Syracusans any day of the week. I feel like that they have infinitely better options than Pergamon, but I mean, I've seen a lot of you argue that you think Syracuse is the worst faction. Some of you think it's, maybe Athens or, Sparta. Some of you have said that you think the worst faction is. But there's a bunch of you who feel like it's these Greek factions. Pergamon is amongst the worst, in my opinion. So we'll see here. So we're going to have Tarentine cavalry moving up the left flank of the Syracusans. They've got some militia hoplites out there to support a main line of Thurios hoplites. That's an interesting one. I can't remember if these guys chuck javelins. I don't think they do. We do have some... Yeah, no, it's just Thurios. There's Peltist. Wow, that's going to be a lot of javelins. So a huge line of Peltist. That's 4 Peltist spread very wide across the front, which is, that is a lot of javelins indeed. And then we've got some mercenary Italian cavalry moving up the right flank. Looks like 3 of them supporting a Hippeus Lancer general. So that's a lot of cavalry for Syracuse. There are 2 mercenary Samnite warriors in the very back. And then for Pergamon up front, there's going to be a line of archers, and in the last battle I mentioned that they probably only had 125 range, and that is the case. They do decent damage, but they are going to be limited in range. But they have better range than Peltist, so there's 4 of those. They are flanked by, it looks like, units of Agema spears. There's Galatian swords behind them. And then we're going to see some Thurios spears, Agema spears, and more Thurios in the back, with more of them still. Facing the rear, the Pergamene general is in a noble cavalry, and he's supported by 2 citizen cavalry that are going to be out there on the left flank. So Pergamon is, this is, I feel like this is going to be a really tough fight for Pergamon. They're outmatched in the cavalry department by a lot, and they're going to need to play very smart. Like, they're going to want to hang back behind their Thurio spears. The problem that's going to cause is that could open the front line to a hail of Peltist javelins and cavalry charges from Syracuse. I may be proven wrong here, but I feel like that Pergamon is going to have a very difficult battle of this. I don't know the exact performance of Thurios hoplites, but if they're anything like basically any other hoplite, they're going to be pretty grindy. And Pergamon is just not the kind of infantry that's good at grinding down an armored unit. They do have a lot of javelins, so we'll see. The archers are now dueling with the Peltist. The Peltist, honestly, won't do bad here if they focus up their fire, because the archers are a little more tightly packed, and they don't have a shield. The Peltist have a little bit of armor. They also have a decent shield, so they could take a little bit of punishment. It looks like the Peltist, though, are dealing it to the Agema spears, which is a more expensive unit. The archers took some of it, though. They're being forced backwards. Now, it looks like Pergamon is going to run their Galatian swords forward. I don't know about this. They're unsupported. The cavalry for Syracuse isn't nearby to punish them, but the Peltist are. And the meager shields and armor of Galatian swords are going to make them plenty vulnerable. And these Thurios hoplites have a lot of armor as well. Now, they're not going to like the charge of the Galatian swords, but they should hold up pretty well after the charge. Well, the Agema spears are not trading well up against these Peltists. They are getting some money's worth there. And Syracuse is just being very patient with its cavalry at the moment, and I don't blame it. I don't feel like they're in a hurry here. I feel like Syracuse is going to break the front line eventually. Yep, they're going into a phalanx. The Galatian swords aren't going to be able to last in that type of fight. They need support. And I don't see a lot of good options here. Look at that nice flank shot by the Peltist there, getting into those Galatian swords. Looks like the militia hoplite was dealt with, but it cost javelins from the Thurios spears. And again, very patient on the cavalry here from Syracuse. They're just biding their time. Like I said, I don't blame them. I think this front line is going to go in their favor. There's still a lot of Agema and Thurios spears left after the front line. So I don't think Syracuse can get like super, content here, but honestly, like, if they survive this with even half of their infantry left, I think that Pergamon is in some pretty serious trouble. The Gema Spears out here ended up in melee. That's not going to be great for them. Here comes a mercenary Italian cavalry. There are Thurio Spears in the vicinity, and they are making their presence felt. The Citizen Cavalry and Pergamene Noble Cavalry still holding. The Peltist are now going to be used as a secondary melee unit against the Thurio Spears. That's a good idea. It ties them up and prevents them from being able to support. The Galatian Swords, they're doing better than I thought. So, not a very impressive performance by Thurios Hoplites. If you can't hold out against a Galatian Sword any better than that, then I don't know. The Galatian Swords have a very nice charge and decent damage, but their melee attack is none too great and their morale is terrible. So, that's a decent performance here, ultimately, by the Galatian Swords. I was thinking Syracuse had this fairly easy. I'm not so convinced now. Their infantry line did not perform as well as I thought it might, which leaves a lot of spears for them to have to grind through. Now, they still do have a pretty big cavalry advantage. There's still 2 more mercenary Italian cav, half of one there. The Payas Lancer Tarentine cavalry has just been sitting here. They haven't even been used. I don't think. They don't have a single kill, so that could be very dangerous late into the game for them to roll up with some javelins. Here comes the Samnite Warriors. They will finish those Galatian Swords, 100%. They have been kept till late in the battle, though, which is probably smart. It will avoid some javelins for them. Gonna keep an eye on things. Any movement? Yep, a little bit of movement from the Syracusan cavalry now. It's gonna be a kind of long, wet noodle fight up front here. The archers really ought to be focusing that Samnite warrior. They just got a nice javelin volley into the archers. That Pergamene cavalry could countercharge them pretty clean right now. And definitely should be, so this is going to be a missed opportunity if they don't get the countercharge there. No, they fell back. Kind of surprised, because that unit had already chucked his javelins and it would have been a nice counter, but they may have been too worried to engage their noble cavalry with all the enemy cav out and about, so instead they're just going to let the Samnites kind of roll forward and get themselves surrounded by missiles, which may ultimately work out just fine too. Got the 2 Tarentine cavalry rolling up. Here comes the mercenary Italian cav. Okay, nice avoidance here by the Pergamene general. He's definitely going to get away from that. That citizen cavalry is going to get absolutely tanked there. The Pergamene cavalry, though, needs to get away and not let their general die. The archers are now pouring their fire into the Samnites, so this is a good call. I don't know how much ammunition they have left. Oof, yeah, the Samnites are going to be feeling that one. Yeah, the Pergamene general is retreating to a safer position. And one of the Pergamene cavalry got lured out into a goose chase by the Tarentine cavalry. This is a mistake. That is not where they want to be in life. They are badly needed over here to help protect. Nice charge into the back of those Samnites. Could be some friendly archer fire headed in, though. Let's see. Nope. Okay, well done by the Pergamene cavalry there. Bunch of pretty valuable kills. There's another Samnite about to cut its way through over here, though. There's not many Thurio Spears left. It still says that Pergamon is in this fight. I don't know, my gut says probably not, but they could be. That Samnite got routed there. That was a big win for Pergamon. Definitely a big win for Pergamon. That noble cavalry is still very much alive, and it's about to get a very clean charge here onto the flank of those Samnites. Not going to be a great charge, but they didn't get javelined in the process. That Thurio Spear could fix those Samnites and help do some work. Let's see where that Citizen Cavalry... Oh, the Citizen Cavalry caught the Tarentines at the line. What a lucky break for the Pergamenes. I thought this cavalry was going to end up totally wasted. It may, but it at least pulled these units all the way out here to the flank and then caught one in melee. Citizen Cavalry is so bad that, of course, it can't decisively defeat the Tarentines when it catches them at the edge of the map. Here comes a Pergamene Noble charge there. They're getting some kills. This is not a great Lancer, though. They're pretty squishy. So they're going to need to stay on the move and not get too settled into any fight. Those Samnite Warriors took a little bit of damage. There's still a fair number of Pergamene units left, and the Syracusans are running out of infantry. They do have a fair bit of cavalry left. And yeah, look, the Citizen Cavalry routed. It couldn't even get rid of the Tarentines. Only 18 kills on the Tarentines. Then it routed. Oh boy. Oh boy. Our good friend Maximus gave them the name where he replaced the C with an SH, and is definitely an appropriate name for citizen cavalry. I try and keep the channel free of the swears in case you're watching with little ones present. But yeah, that's it was still a hilarious name and very appropriate name for him. Here comes the Hippeus Lancers. They are also very healthy, and they want a piece of these Pergamene Lancers. They got a little bit thrashed. I'm assuming they went for another charge or something that didn't go very well. And let's see, that is an active versus fresh. They look like they're gaining ground to me, though, despite the slightly better... Oh, they stopped. Rest in pepperonis, you sweet Pergamenes. You are dead. You have died. That's the message that flashes across the screen there. So that is actually possibly the end of the Pergamenes here. That is going to have a major morale hit. These archers can just get breathed on now, and they're going to rout. And then these spear units over here, which otherwise probably would have held out pretty good, are not going to love life when they start getting charged by heavy shot cavalry and facing a heavy infantry. So yeah, I think that general getting caught out there by the Hippeus Lancers was a rest in pieces moment. Rest in Pergamemes. Yeah, there goes their archers, so the Hippeus Lancers are going to clean them out. That's going to add a lot of kills to their tally. Like a low armor unit like archers is going to die in droves to a heavy lancer like that. The Agema Spears can encourage, and if those Thurio Spears will stay close, like this one is a little bit far flung, they're going to be vulnerable to cavalry action. And then, of course, here comes the Sam Knights. The Sam Knights are a huge problem at the moment. Even without the Sam Knights, there's a fair chance that Syracuse pulls this one off, I think. I don't think Agema Spears are going to be deadly effective in melee against the enemy cavalry. They're going to be okay. They don't have a lot of armor piercing. See, now they're going to have to try and reposition, and this is where it gets dangerous. When they go to reposition, the Lancers are going to turn around and be able to get a charge. The Encourage aura of the Agema Spears is going to play a big role here. This is going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Rear charge into the Agema Spears. So yeah, those Lancers, they've racked up 205 kills. And the leadership is definitely taking a hit over there for those Thurio Spears. And Syracuse's patient play of cavalry may end up being the difference here. The Samnite Warriors have 195 kills. They're not going to get kills quickly, but the Samnites are a major issue right now for Pergamon. They just don't have a good unit to kill them. And then this is making it to where they're also getting rear charged by cavalry repeatedly.
Yes, Commander.
And it's probably going to be more than they can handle. It looks like it is. So, for Pergamon, they've had 2 appearances now, and neither won a victory, but I mean, that is the life of a Pergameme soldier. Fighting difficult battles and probably rarely winning. So yeah, tough break for Pergamon there. So that one is going to be a victory for Hotel Soap and his Syracusan forces. Thank you to Pintoisix? I can't say that right. I'm going to call him Pin. Thanks to Pin for playing as Pergamon. It is a brave soul who plays as Pergamon in multiplayer, and we who are entertained on this end of it salute you. So thank you very much for providing us the Pergamene factor in the replays. It is fun to see them. I'm sure that they are pretty much consistently an underdog. Honestly, Syracuse did not win by a wide margin here. They did have a fair number of units. If that general could have stayed alive, I think if 2 things went different, if that citizen cavalry stayed at home and that general didn't go out there and get caught, I think Pergamon actually wins this. Because they could bring it into that late game. Those cavalry could have been kept close to protect against the Hippeus, and that would have been super helpful. And then the other spears that were around could have helped against the citizen cavalry. So it's possible that Pergamon wins this if they keep their formation together rather than chasing out with that cavalry. Honestly, the Pergamene Galatian swords did much better than I thought they would. So I was very unimpressed by the Thurios hoplites. Unless they're just, the right price. If these guys are pretty cheap, then maybe it's okay. Like if they're in the same cost tier as Galatian swords, but if they cost much more, that's not a great value you're going to get there. But in any case, hope you all enjoyed this one. Heir of Carthage signing out for now. I'll see you all back soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.